Timmy, Timmy, we talked about this. Don't be mean to your siblings. Timmy, you're being kind of a dickhead right now. Timmy, oh my god. Did we just witness some bird on bird sibling violence? The kind that you might see in an episode of Game of Thrones? Yes, but it's much darker than that. Let me explain. The cuckoo birds. Wait, are you sure it's not called the cuckoo birds? Oh, that's another type with a different problem. The common cuckoo bird has developed an interesting breeding strategy called brood parasitism. Usually, when two birds want to have some babies, they'll make a beautiful nest out of straw, in which they'll lay their eggs to keep them safe. But nature had other plans. You see, building a nest is hard work and it takes a lot of energy. In between trying to find food and not getting eaten, you don't want to do it unless you really have to. And because evolution has a sense of humor, the cuckoo bird has developed a strategy where they go around and find nests built by other birds and lay their eggs in someone else's home. As if she's not already a dickhead for doing that, they'll even throw away one of the original host's eggs, just in case the birds figured out how to count. Now, if you're gonna drop your baby off at someone else's place, it's better to do it when no one else is home. Getting caught red-handed laying eggs in another bird's nest can often turn confrontational. Just look at these two birds smacking the crap out of her as she's trying to give birth. And because of this, the cuckoo birds can lay their eggs extremely quickly. Now, you might be thinking, why don't the host birds just throw out the eggs? It's not like they need evidence to tell them something is suspicious. They caught the bloody birdie in the act. Well, it's not that simple. You see, when evolution decided that the only way you can reproduce is with a drive-by egg-laying strategy, you start to develop certain tricks to make sure your egg survives. Some birds aren't that bright, and they simply won't remove the eggs at all. I guess you don't call someone a bird brain for no reason. For those birds that are smarter, like the robins, blue jays, and the oriole, who are known to throw out unfamiliar eggs, the cuckoo birds developed a different strategy. You see, when all your eggs are white, it's kind of hard to tell your eggs apart from someone else's. So over time, birds have developed unique markings on their eggshells to distinguish their eggs from others. Oh wait, what's that? The cuckoo birds also develop markings? Well, when the cuckoo eggs hatch, life doesn't get any easier. If the host bird detects the new hatchling is a parasite, they may very well eject the chick from the nest, leaving it as food for something else. But the hatchlings aren't exactly helpless. The common cuckoo bird loves to be an only child, so since birth, they will instinctively try to eject their unhatched siblings out of the nest, until they're the only ones left. But don't just stare at him, he's doing it right in front of you. Some birds identify their own chicks through the begging sounds they make. The cuckoo chick will instinctively try to mimic this cry to blend in with his adopted siblings. That is, if he hasn't already murdered them. Jimmy, that's not how you do squats. The cuckoo finch even developed mouth markings very similar to his host hatchlings. This is what a mother sees when she's feeding her chicks. Not only do their mouth look similar, but the parasites also cry much louder and are much more persistent criers. Talk about a needy baby. But before you go on a riot, I must inform you that some cuckoo birds aren't as bad as the rest. Most cuckoo species build their own nest, and there's only a portion that are parasites, which gives the entire group a bad name. But none of these are as bad as this next species of bird. And here I'm gonna go on a quick tangent. You see, I found during my research that the cuckoo birds aren't the only dickheads in the bird kingdom. Just look at all these homewreckers. I would like to bring your attention to one specific bird, called the honey guide. They're called honey guide because they lead people to a bee's nest, where the people can harvest honey using tools like fire and smoke, and in return they get to eat the wax. That's pretty awesome, but don't let their cute looks trick you. Let me show you a picture of their baby. I know what you're thinking. That looks just like a bald ball sack. It might even look cute to you, but let's zoom in on the beak. You might notice they have two hooks, one on top and one on the bottom. And they use these hooks to brutally murder their adoptive siblings. Obviously, the cuckoo birds ejecting their siblings for someone else to eat isn't that much better, but it is the difference between first degree and second degree murder. Having a parasite isn't always detrimental. There are some who even help their foster siblings survive into adulthood. Unlike their murderous cousins who love to eject all eggs from the nest, the great spotted cuckoos are happy to share the nest with 2 or 3 siblings. In this case, the carrion crows. Scientists have found nests with a gray spotted cuckoo chick have a 40% increased chance of survival. And this is because the cuckoo bird produces a smell from their cloaca, which is this thing right here, which is so stanky that cats and other birds of prey will actively avoid the nest. It's like if you're presented with a succulent meal in a beautiful restaurant, but a waiter farted on it before giving it to you. So unless you're really hungry, you'll probably look for something else to eat. And the crow mother seems to realize this. So instead of ejecting the cuckoo chicks out of the nest, the crow is content to raise a whole family, including the adopted one. The last strategy I would like to mention is probably the one that blows my mind the most. It's called the mafia strategy. I don't think that's a scientific term, but it fits very well. You see, sometimes a cuckoo bird likes to come back and check on her chicks, which is a pretty nice gesture. At least she's trying to be part of her kid's life, Dad. But trouble starts when she notices that her chick is missing, either through being ejected as an egg or a hatchling. In this scenario, the mother will go on a rampage and murder all the surviving babies. So some host birds have learned to raise these parasites along with their kids, because the alternative is the death of an entire generation. So just like how the mafia will extort you for protection money, the cuckoo birds will intimidate other birds with violence and death to raise their young, which is simply wild.